Hey, what's up, everybody? And welcome into another episode. Hello, friends. And welcome to another episode of Trust the Tape. Yes, Trust the Tape. I'd like to introduce you to our panel. My name is Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
And I'm, of course, with former Cowboy scout, man who ran the Philadelphia Eagles draft in 1998, got 17 Pro Bowlers out of it, and then nobody will let him run another draft because everybody's a bunch of idiots. So you just get to be the greatest drafter of all time, Bryan Broaddus.
Hey, Brian.
What's up, Brian?
Jeffrey, good morning to you, sir.
Does that feel good, being the greatest drafter of all time? 1 for 1. Never had a bad one.
Should have never left Green Bay.
Oh, no, you would have got some more
I might have got
love?
a general. I think every guy that I worked with in Green Bay ended up getting a general manager's job. It was a good group. It was a good group. I know people hate when I talk about Green Bay and other things, but lesson in life, and they always say the grass is not always greener. And I kind of thought I was ready to do it. I guess I was, because we ran the draft and it worked out okay. And we were kind of helping with Andy Reid to get Andy Reid there, so that worked out okay. But don't be so quick to jump. Don't be so quick to jump. I only have really one regret in the NFL, and that was leaving Green Bay. I left Green Bay too early.
You're telling me I need to come back to the fan? You want me back? You ready?
No, everybody's I'd love to have you as a teammate again. That would be cool.
Can we fire Zach and Eric? Just put me right back in?
I tell you what, man, Zach and Eric are doing a good job. They might fire me to put you back in, is what they would do. But it's sometimes you feel like, oh yeah, hey, I'm going to go and, and you do it for what you think is the right reason at the time. But that is the only really regret I have working in the NFL, leaving Green Bay too early. Should have stayed.
Well,
a
you
little
just
bit
got
longer.
fired as a GM. GMs get fired and stuff, and then you'd have people mad at you and crap, and instead you just get to have everybody like you. While
I know,
you
man.
do broadcast. Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the GM stuff, but you give it a crack. You got to give it a shot, right? You got to give
I'd
that
take a
GM
shot
job
at
a
it.
shot, right?
Yeah, if somebody wants to make me their GM,
would
I'll
too.
get real reckless with your salary cap. I'll destroy your salary
I
cap,
think-
and then you fire me.
I think I don't think I'm breaking news here, but maybe I am. I don't know. I just feel like that Will McClay's pretty close to leaving the Cowboys and going to run his own team.
Yeah.
There's going to be a day where Will McClay wants to step up and go run his own team. Now, he's got a really great gig with the Cowboys, but man, I mean, running your own team is so much different than being like a guy that's, and I know Will really loves working with Jerry and Steven and the family and all that and the guys he's got, but there's going to be a point in time where you want to go put your own stamp on this thing, whether you do it good or not. So I would say we're getting to that point where maybe Will might not say, oh, no, I'm cool here. I'll move on, that kind of thing.
And what I've always said is what we really need is everybody out of the way so Jerry can get back in that saddle. If you can get Jerry back in that big chair and just leave him alone, boy, he'll get them levers pulled. Boy, we'll be cooking. It'll be amazing.
Cooking.
All right, Brian, what did you hit me with when we were texting this morning for an idea for Trust the Tape?
Yeah. Just, and I always like to try and create dialogue on my programs. And so, you could create topics, whether people like them or not, but you make people think. And I came up with one called The More You Hear. And the more you hear is basically like, I'm going to give you a player's name. And the more you hear, how does it make you feel? How does it make you feel?
Okay.
When I'm going to give you a player's name.
Okay.
And, we just got through the OTAs, mini camps and stuff. And there's a lot of guys and gals that cover this team. But you hear about certain players. But how does it make you feel?
Okay.
When I say these players' name, I say the name PJ Locke. How does it make you feel?
It makes me feel like my guy who we had on the DLS Cowboys podcast last year at camp, Malik Hooker, might be getting ready to do a lot of watching. That's how I feel the more I hear about PJ Locke, because we've talked about it on this program before, the way that they overhauled this entire safety room and gone from, oh God, to, man, they got some really nice pieces back there. And the more I hear PJ Locke's name, who I considered when they signed him, like just a depth piece.
Sure.
And I think if I go double check this, I think Malik Hooker was a pay cut guy this year. The more I hear, the more I think this might be Jalen Thompson, Caleb Downs, PJ Locke, and then Malik Hooker back there.
Yeah. I'm kind of in the same boat with you on, I think to me, and you know my feelings, everybody knows my feelings about the Hooker situation.
You think that he's a wonderful man. You support him and his family in every way that you possibly could.
Absolutely.
That, if he'd played a little better football, that'd be good.
Absolutely. I just think that the Cowboys told you exactly what they think about the safety position. Well, you listen, the more I hear about PJ Locke, the more I'm in that boat with you that PJ Locke could very well be a starter for you. He could be the guy that when they want to move downs into the slot, PJ Locke is going to be the guy. Thompson, Locke, those are going to be the guys that are going to be your primary players when it comes to just a thought. Just the more I hear, the more I want to believe that.
You're going to make me look something up real quick. I'm going to look up Malik Hooker's contract. I'd imagine a pay cut came with guaranteeing it all. Yeah, okay, so that's guaranteed. Okay, so he'll be around, but Malik Hooker may just be a depth man.
Yep. How about Michael Trigg?
Well,
the more you hear Michael Trigg,
I guess I'll have to lean on you for this one because I think he was one of those guys, Baylor tight end, undrafted free agent, that I thought looking at him, I'm like, man, this guy could be fun and have a chance to make this team and maybe push Schoon or somebody off the roster. And like, that could be a really cool story, really fun story, get a little juice going. But I haven't heard much lately. And I do feel like a lot of people went a little overboard with it where it's like Michael Trigg's gonna whatever.
Well, sure.
And my thought is Michael Trigg has a chance to find his way onto the roster. And then maybe 12 months from now, you could talk about what sort of role he could have that is more than just making the team. That's my feelings on him.
Yeah, I'm kind of like watching him at practice, noticed him a little bit. Not much. The more you hear, I don't hear anything negative. I don't hear that he's struggling with anything in the classroom or anything like that. There was some questions him coming out about, some of the things, football desire and all those things, but nothing like that. Like we heard last year with Jadon Blue or anything. I think there was a lot of people that immediately put him to the front of the room, when they, and I think a lot of it has to do with people are just disgusted with Luke Schoonmaker. They really are. They're disgusted with Luke Schoonmaker and they've given up and they don't want to talk about Luke Schoonmaker anymore.
Well, Brian, we love fun players. Like if you just go look, I bet you could find like a highlight reel of Michael Trigg on the internet right now. And if you do it, you'll watch him and you'll be like, man, our tight ends don't seem that sort of, it's kind of the Gavin Dawson thing. He's got a little bit of the Wookiee tight end to him where it's just like, oh man, he's kind of a hellraiser. Like once he has the football, things get violent and tough and like, he's a fun player.
Yeah. I'm more than willing to, and I think we both liked the player coming out of the draft. Kind of surprised he didn't get picked, but then again, not surprised he got picked or didn't get picked because of some of the things we were hearing about him. But I think we put this guy way, way, way ahead of the group, and I think the more I hear, the more I'm like, okay, there's nothing wrong. I mean, the guy's doing everything he can to be here. But I think we need to kind of look at him and see how the training camp goes, the practices. He's going to get a lot of shots in the preseason at the games and stuff like that. But I think a lot of his rise has been because of just this sports hatred for Luke Schoonmaker. So,
and in some ways, probably some dissatisfaction even with Jake Ferguson between the yak and the drops and the fumbles, like, a reliable, middle of the road NFL tight end that I think people hoped was on the ascent. And then it was like, oh, he's not. And so you just start looking around for like, what else we got? What's new? What's fun? What's shiny?
Right.
Do you think Brevin Spanford could make a legit run at pressuring Jake Ferguson?
I do. I kind of feel like that. I feel like that the one thing that I know last year that Spanford needed to improve was how he caught the football, the hands. Man, he
looked adventurous every time they threw to him.
We're all being blessed by all these World Cup matches we're watching, and we're watching these goalies, parry balls away and stuff like that.
USA guy catches it.
Yeah. Well, this is when you watch Spanford initially, it was almost like he was playing as a soccer goalie. The way his hands were not. Yeah, he was not. It's like he was knocking balls away instead of trying to catch them. I think his hand placement is much better. I think his ability, like there were struggles with him. He's not going to separate. He's just not going to be one of those guys. Yeah. So what's going to happen is you're going to see a lot of contested catches. And so the more that he could improve, with dealing with contested catches and stuff like that, I think that's going to only benefit him going forward. But man, the guy works extremely hard. I know walking off the practice field, he's always the guy running over afterwards to the jugs machine and trying to catch more passes and, get his hands in the right spot and stuff like that. And I think Dak has a little bit more confidence in throwing him the football too. It's not like you don't have to worry about him now volleyballing into the air and probably getting a turnover. But I'm on board with Spanford and what he potentially could bring.
Well, Brian, you mentioned the World Cup, so I just want to knock this out right now because you mentioned the World Cup, and your boy has been having a time on PrizePicks. And PrizePicks is amazing. It's incredible. All you got to do is pick more or less on a few player stats to create a lineup, right? So for individual players, I'm just on the World Cup page right now because we got some good ones today and tomorrow. So my Viking guy, Erling Haaland, I'm thinking about taking him to score, even though he's a demon right there. He's a red one. That means you get a bigger return than normal. So it seems unlikely he would score, but that's my Viking, like he's not afraid of France. I'll come back to it, but I am going to take Kylian Mbappe to go ahead and get him one more than half a goal. Going to take Messi, my little goblin. See that goblin, little lower return than a normal pick because they think that it's likely that he does score. So we're going to go Mbappe. We're going to go Messi, and I will go hit me with a random guy. No. I need, what I need? I need a goblin in the WNBA. I've done so well with WNBA goblins. Angel Reese, more than 9.5.
Rebounds. Yeah.
Points.
Points.
Does she get
More
down
points.
like that?
More points.
We're about to find out. I'm just going to make this a little guy here. I'm going to make
this
a little guy here.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. That's PrizePicks. You just cruise around, and obviously they have all sorts of different sports. Anything that you want to do, you just make your lineup with more or less on player stats. And then there is a new user offer. You play $5, you get $50 in lineups. Download the app, use the code HMA, and the link is in the description, and you'll be cruising along with our friends at PrizePicks. All right, knocked that out. We're cooking now. We got people just joining us. What are you guys doing? Vinny, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
We got a conversation on the tight ends going on in the chat. Trigg isn't pushing for tight end one. He'll be lucky to make the roster. I think he can compete for tight end one. I like it. Let's fight in the chat a little bit, okay? Taking the more points on Angel Reese is crazy, Jeff. We'll find out. We'll find out. Oh, no. This guy's literally leaving the show. He's leaving the show because of Angel Reese. Have a great day, Jay. We're going to miss you. All right, Brian, who's next?
How about Shamar James? The more you hear, Shamar James.
I'm intrigued just by hearing because my initial assumption is that DeMarvion Overshown D Winner's the end, right, at linebacker, and then you got a third-round pick and Jayshawn Barham, and Shamar James to me seemed like linebacker 4, linebacker 5, but hearing that he's at least getting some of the looks, running with the ones is kind of fun because I thought last year Shamar James, not that he played great football on the whole, but I thought that he at least popped in one way for me. Shamar James effed up fast. Yeah. Like if he was like he played fast, and I think you had way too many linebackers that played passive football. And like he's every bit of 220. but he's willing to throw it around. So like there are things about Shamar James that I like. And if he could be a real depth piece that's an option to take snaps and they feel good about that, then I think that's a wonderful thing.
I think that the more I hear about Shamar James, the more I'm with you on being intrigued. I think, honestly, I think Shamar James is competing for the Mike linebacker job.
Oh,
And
let's go.
and I know we saw him last year get thrown into a really tough situation. The evaluations that we made from Florida were, maybe lacked a little instinct. Plays went by him, really good blitzer, can finish, can run. I think your assessment of him is absolutely correct when it comes to how fast he plays. So the more I hear about Shamar James, the more I'm buying into, yeah, I see it. It's not just, oh, we're hoping here. I think you got a guy that legitimately is this training camp period when we're out there watching practice and stuff, where we'll see him, in not only the practices, the group practices, with the scrimmages that they're going to have, and then also into the preseason. But I think he's going to be an actual piece to this defense, and I think they're treating him that way. That they're not just saying, okay, we're going to give you a few reps here and there. They're putting him in legitimate spots to be able to function as a ball player that can help them win games.
The Sport said, "What about Justin Barron, fellas?" And I guess in my mind, that's just like depth. Like, are you the fifth?
Yeah.
How many are we keeping, and can you be the last one?
Well, and can you be the special teams player? I mean, I watching Barron. I know we're doing helmets and jerseys and stuff, but you watch how they use these other linebackers, and Barron gets opportunity, but not like these other linebackers.
Yeah.
Not like the other ones. So can he be a guy that's, maybe he is that special teams piece. Maybe he's the last linebacker. Not betting on it right now, but that's why we have training camp in the summer with practices and in preseason games and stuff. He's going to play a ton in the preseason. You are going to see him play a ton. He's going to play every single snap, basically, when it comes to that. So we will see. How about TJ Bass?
I haven't heard much about TJ Bass. I'm TJ Bass right now is kind of my mortal enemy. He doesn't know that. You don't have to tell him. But right now he's my mortal enemy because right now TJ Bass to me is a guy that is sitting in the spot that if he's a starter, it signifies that we didn't try real hard to find a left tackle and we moved our all-pro. So right now, TJ Bass is my enemy. I want him to be real nice depth at center and guard, and I do not want to see him have to be on the field because we've decided we don't have a left tackle, so we're going to play an all-pro guard at tackle. So that's all I know about TJ Bass is that right now we have blood feud if he's a starter.
Yeah, I kind of feel like the TJ Bass might be your most valuable backup lineman right now. When you look at it, because I think it's, with what happened, and I'm not going to sit here and act like I knew what, Hennessy, who they signed as, he was kind of projected as being the backup center. I'm not going to sit here and act like, oh, wow, I know him and now that's a huge loss and stuff. But now with him being out, the neck injury, that sounds pretty severe to me. I mean,
yeah, that's not good. I don't want to have surgery on my neck.
No. So, TJ Bass is one of those guys. I kind of thought that TJ Bass might be a guy that would be a piece that you could potentially trade. And now I'm not
that.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. I mean, if somebody were to develop a little bit more, then you can maybe move TJ Bass because people have, pro personnel guys have watched film of TJ Bass actually play, and listen, let's be real honest with each other here. We watch these NFL games every week. Not everybody has 5 offensive linemen that are really, really good. There's
no, but if I've got a backup one that I think can be a starter level player like that, you can't have him because we're going to lose.
No, and I thought there was a time because you're always looking for what player could I potentially move to get me a similar type player at another position.
Right.
That's kind of where I was trying to figure out, like, it's really, really hard to find these offensive linemen. And to find one that's capable of playing a couple of different positions, I don't think I can move TJ Bass now.
No,
I don't think I can move him at all.
tell me you got somebody else, because Hoffman's gone too. So not unless you tell me you got somebody else you feel good about for a month stretch in NFL games, and I don't see that on this roster. So TJ, you're hanging out, buddy. You're untouchable. Dak and TJ Bass.
How about the more you hear Drew Shelton?
I hadn't heard anything. Like I thought, like when Drew Shelton was picked, I made a mistake by the first game that I watched of Drew Shelton. That's your fourth round offensive tackle out of Penn State.
Was it Ohio State or some game like that?
Yeah, it was Ohio State. And 5 plays in, I was like, well, we can turn this off. Back in the day, watching with you and KT, that would have been one of those guys where after 5 plays, I would have gone and got a cherry Coke and a snack and just opened up some candy. Like I think he's an interesting prospect, and hearing people in the organization and or people who know and have worked with him draw a better picture than the picture I had for myself. But not hearing his name alongside Nate Thomas when you're talking about getting reps at left tackle makes me think, I guess, probably a year away. But I do hear more positive things than what I would have said if somebody just said, hey, you watched Drew Shelton in college. What do you think?
Yeah. I kind of feel like the last 2 practices, I noticed Drew Shelton more. I'm going to throw this at you. I think he's a guy that they're going to push at the left tackle spot to see where Guyton is at. I think we talk about maybe with Thomas that he might be that guy. I'm thinking that we might see a little bit more of Drew Shelton at that spot in those practices and stuff like that. That he's, when again the practices, the joint practices, the preseason stuff. I think they're going to throw Drew Shelton out there and let him compete. Now, whether he can, beat Guyton out for that job, but I think it's Thomas we talk about a lot, but maybe it's Drew Shelton we need to kind of figure out. And we're going to get some, the practice times and things like that I mentioned. So, I'm intrigued by him, just noticing some of the things he was able to do, in the 2 practices at the end that I got to watch and how they were using him. Before, I didn't really notice him all that much, and it seemed like the final 2, it's like, okay, let's see what we got. Maybe that's their way of saying, well, but I didn't see a guy that performed poorly. I didn't see a guy that was struggling in the opportunities he got. So keep an eye on that one for sure.
I just need one of you guys at left tackle, and I don't even need you to be great. I just need you to survive. Okay. Don't make Tyler come save y'all. Just don't do it. Okay. Yeah. That's all I care about. I just need somebody who can do the job. Okay. That's all I need.
Yeah. Yeah. How about this one? How about Jadon Blue?
I feel like the more you hear, the more you get positive, and I'm hesitant to jump on board with it, but I think that would be awesome for this team. I talked about it before. Javonte Williams, the last, I think it was 8 games of the year, averaged a yard less per carry than he did the rest of the season, and I think it's a lot of wear and tear with the way that he plays and the amount of snaps that you're asking him to play, and I desperately need someone to be a legit running back too, where it's not just, okay, Javonte's about to die, somebody go get 2 snaps. And I think the skill set matches up perfectly to be different from your starter. So everything that we are hearing so far to me is very encouraging. And I think it could make a big difference for this football team. If Blue could be the guy that just watching him on tape, I thought he could be, I think that'd be huge for this team.
What are you thinking about all the positivity about, and he's even kind of talked about it being night and day, with turning the corner from last year. About this time, we were starting to hear the Glenn Smith report that, he was struggling in a lot of areas. It wasn't important to him, all these things. Can a player flip the switch that fast? Or did he just realize that if he doesn't flip the switch, that he's going to be out of the league?
Yeah, I think that's it. I think a player can. I don't know how often, now that I'm an old man and you're thinking about it and trying to put it through the eyes of like someone who's 21 years old, would the switch have flipped for me? Probably not. But I think it absolutely can when you recognize and you have a real life conversation like Shoddy says they had at his exit interview, where it's just like, look, this is what we think. And if you can't do things differently, then you're never going to play.
Right.
Right. Yeah, I think it absolutely can happen. And I hope that it did, because if it did, and he can be the best version of himself and practice differently, and I guess in some ways like behave differently, because he mentioned it. He was like, some of my things were, finish plays in practice and know when to have fun and when to work. Like, yeah, if you've got that differently and you have a whole different way that you go about your work, then that could change things for you. And I think it's totally possible. Wouldn't happen for me because I was a dipshit until I was about 37. But yeah, it could happen for him.
The importance of him or Ryan Flournoy for the offense.
Oh God, this is going to sound crazy because I'm so confident in what Flournoy is going to do. But I think what Blue could do, if it's the best version of what we could see, is more important. Just because if you're telling me that I have CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, like I can make that work. I think Flournoy in some ways is a luxury if he's the guy that I think he is, but that's awesome. I want to be overwhelming and overpowering you with my wide receivers. But I think having a change of pace that's a home run threat and can keep Javonte Williams going full bore the entire 17 games. Yeah, I think the best version of Jadon Blue means more.
Yeah, I kind of feel like if you look at the offense and the importance of those two players, I think Blue is, to be honest with you, I don't think it's close. I think it's if you have Blue play to the level that we saw him play at Texas, and the fumbling thing, we need to kind of figure that thing out. But the ability to the explosive plays, open field stuff, catching the football, we'll figure out a way with the pass block and stuff. We'll figure that out. But if you want to talk about importance for this offense, boy, you got him playing at a really, really high level could make this offense a lot different, and it just gives you the confidence that if something were to happen to Williams or that you need to give Williams a break, boy, that would go a long way for this offense, and how it needs to function.
Amarillo Slim said maybe not wear Gucci cleats. Was it Gucci or Louis Vuitton? And it was like a wrap.
Louis Vuitton.
Louis Vuitton, like a wrap that went over his cleats, but apparently he was wearing the wrong cleats too. We've made big strides in that area. He now has generic Nikes
some beautiful cleats though, man. Those Louis Vuitton.
Now he's got generic Nikes on. Blue. I did not know this about Jadon Blue. I learned it yesterday. I think it was Ari Temkin told me this, that Jadon Blue, once he got an offer from Texas and accepted it, sat out his senior year of high school. Like he was just like, I'm good. Like it wasn't COVID. It was just, I'm good. I'm going to Texas, and didn't play his senior year. So you can looking at that. I'm like, okay, now I can see there's a little bit of a track record of, I don't have a better word than either diva or prima donna. And I apologize because those sound like insults, but whatever. And so, yeah, you gotta, now it's time you are a professional and you're trying to make a football team. Nothing is gifted to you. So you have to have a mindset shift.
Well, you also wonder who was in his ear. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes these players get influenced in the wrong way. That like somebody, I'm sure there were times when Jadon Blue was getting ready in high school to go to college, to go, to Texas. I'm sure there were people in his ears saying, "Man, you don't have to do that.
Yeah,
you don't
have to do that.
You don't have to do that, dude. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that. Why do you need to do that?" Sometimes you do have to hear the word no to get better. And I think Jadon Blue last year heard the word no, like, bro, you're not going to play. No, you're not going to play. Some of these players have been, coddled the majority of their careers because of their athletic ability. And sometimes you need a little bit dose of reality. I think Jadon Blue got his dose of reality. I hope so. He's a really good player, though.
Yeah.
Really, really is. I'll tell him he's a good player to his face.
There you go. All right, Bryan, have yourself a day. Thank you to everyone in the chat. If it's not too much trouble, if you could hit the like button on your way out, we sure would appreciate it. And make sure you're following Crown Global Media, both on YouTube and on social media. And then check me out on the DLS Cowboys podcast. That's youtube.com/DLS Sports. We'll get you there. Appreciate you, Bryan.
Thank you, sir.
Everybody have a great day. Remember, you have no idea what anybody's going through. Be cool to everybody. Check out those emojis that you get if you're a member. Be cool to everybody. We love you. Be easy.